18th executive session minutes, the September the 8th public hearing, and the September the 8th public hearing at 6 p.m. And it's also consideration of motion to approve the due date of December the 20th, 2020 for the City of Statesboro property tax bills. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move down to agenda item 5, which is the public hearing, consideration of a motion to approve application for section 6S17D exemptions to open container prohibition. Item A is the Blue Room. The date is September the 19th, 2020. The time period is 12 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Will, planning and zoning, any issues as far as that's concerned? All right, fire and inspection, where's Chief Graham?
No issues.
Okay, all right, good deal. Chief Broadhead? Any,
No issue.
no issues? Okay. All right, Kane?
No issues, Mayor.
Okay, good deal. All right, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak for the request?
I'm just here to answer questions if you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against the request? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, is there any discussion by council? Okay. Seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing that there is none, agenda item 5 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 6, which is a public hearing, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2020-25.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, anyone here to speak for the request? Anyone here to speak against the request? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, any discussion by council?
Let's approve it.
All right, all right, see that we have a comment of let's approve it.
I can make that a motion.
Is there a motion?
Yes, move, so moved.
All right, is there a second?
Whatever we do.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's show that agenda item 6 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 7, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2020-26, a resolution authorizing the waiver of any payment in lieu of taxes by the Statesboro Housing Authority to the City of Statesboro for the 2019 tax year in the amount of $25,182.93. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, I really can't add anything to what you just said. It's been an annual request, and instead of us receiving that payment in lieu of taxes, the city council the practice has been to waive that, so we recommend to you that you waive that
Okay.
payment in lieu of taxes for this year.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, and this is done in the past, and I'm not sure we haven't done it in the last couple of years, maybe because Bobby was sick but usually there's some kind of a little report that they do when we waive the taxes, and haven't done that in the last couple of years, so maybe for next year, we don't have to do this now. But make sure that, hey, when we waive these taxes, tell us what you're doing with the money, tell us the update, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Used to happen when Gary was on council, it hasn't happened for a while.
Hopefully we don't waive
All right.
It's only 25, Mr. Penny. Yeah, you'll be all right.
All right, with that being said, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let us show that agenda item 7 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 8, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2020-27, a resolution to adopt the first amendment of the 6-year capital improvement program for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021 through 2025 through 2026 for the city of Statesboro. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, basically what we're asking you to do is to bring forward the CIP from last year into this year, so you're amending it, because there were things that we didn't finish last year that we need to bring forward. So we recommend to you that you amend the CIP, and that's what we're recommending to you.
All right, thank you. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let it show that agenda item 8 has passed. We move down to agenda item 9, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2020-28, a resolution to adopt the first amendment of the fiscal year 2021 budget for each fund of the city of Statesboro, Georgia, appropriating the amounts shown in each budget as expenditures and expenses, adopting the several items of revenue anticipations, and prohibiting expenditures or expenses from exceeding the actual funding appropriated. Mr. King.
And basically, Mayor, what we're asking you to do is simply to bring forward those funds so that we can pay for what we just asked you to bring forward into the new capital improvement.
All right, thank you. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let it show that agenda item 9 is passed. We'll move down to agenda item 10, which is consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2020-29, a resolution accepting right-of-way of Tormenta Way as a public street to be owned and maintained by the city of Statesboro. Mr. King.
Mayor, members of the council, what happens is when the developer builds a street, once they build it and it's their street, but once they complete the project, they then want it to become a public street. So they have to dedicate the right of way to the city of Statesboro, and you would have to receive that right of way. From then on, that street becomes the responsibility of the city of Statesboro. So Tormenta Way will now become a public street if you so inclined to receive it. We recommend that you receive Tormenta Way as a public street.
All right, thank you. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion by council, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let it show that agenda item 10 has passed. We'll move down to agenda item 11, which is consideration of a motion to approve the amended development agreement with JGR Development, allowing for final distribution of $1,155,404.10 for payment of outstanding invoices, with an additional $250,000 retained by the city for payment of final costs as approved by city manager. Mr. King.
Mayor and council, the way our agreement was originally set up with JGR, I think we had come to you and we asked for the right to be able to make 4 payments. And we're back before you today because we would never make a final payment until all the work is done. However, you have contractors that have done work that need to be paid.
Mhm.
So we're before you today to amend that agreement for the last time to allow us to be able to pay the expenditures that are in the neighborhood of $1.1 million. And then recommend to you that we set up a retainage fee of $250,000. And that $250,000 is there to ensure that all the punch list items are done. And we wouldn't necessarily just pay that out in one lump sum, but as things are completed, with my approval, we can make those payments. And so we recommend to you that you approve the amendment of this agreement so that we can pay, so that the developer can pay contractors, and then we can still hold the contractor to the terms of the agreement.
Okay. All right, any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, I'm glad to see Mr. Darren Van Tassel here this morning, but today, and I wondered if he had anything he'd like to say to us, an update or what's happening with the project. Could we invite him to do that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Fun projects are always fun to talk about. Well, it's nice, I think we now have the widest road in Bullitt County is Old Register Road. And for those of us that grew up in here, it's super exciting to see it be done and be put into place. The process has been a long one to do it, and we finished it in the middle of a COVID environment too. I can't tell you, because this group has already approved some collaboration with state DOT and the city and the university. As we see, the contract is now out for bid to bring the Aikens Boulevard extension across in the south campus, which Tormenta Way, which happily now is a part of the city, will connect to that, and that really marks the beginning of the vertical construction that you will see those folks wanting to go forward with. COVID has done a bit in terms of folks making some decisions about when nobody wants to be open when you can't be open.
Yeah.
But there's enough belief in everything that we're doing now when the timing could be. But I think this fall, you will really begin to see a whole bunch of things going north and vertical with both Publix and the stadium and quite a few other things that will be in there. So it's taken us a minute to get to all of that, but the project has not slowed down and it's really looking terrific. So thank you for the opportunity to share that with you.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion by council? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let it show that agenda item 11 is passed. We move down to agenda item 12, consideration of a motion to approve a mutual aid agreement with the city of Swainsboro regarding fire protection. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, we have a mutual aid agreement with the city of fire protection agreement with the city of Swainsboro. Fire chief, to see if you have any questions. This is not a new agreement. It's simply just renewing an agreement with Swainsboro, where we provide mutual aid to them, and there's reciprocity there. If we need them, they're willing to do that for us as well. And so we do recommend the approval of the mutual aid agreement with Swainsboro.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. All right. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let it show that agenda item 12 has passed. We're down to agenda item 13, other business to the city council. We have picked up with our work session and open it up to agenda item 4, property management code ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I came for you in July to talk about neighborhood revitalization and talk about some strategies and tools that we will be using in the future. And at that time, I also mentioned that I would come before you again with a group of action items for you to review and consider. And so that first group of action items is before you this evening. And if you again remember from that presentation, we did spend a considerable amount of time showing before and after pictures from the code compliance officers. And toward that end, I would like to propose tonight as an action item to you all for consideration is to strengthen our code compliance efforts by approving a preventive maintenance ordinance. Now, currently, code compliance citations are based on the city's nuisance ordinance, which essentially results in a lack of clarity because it's a very general ordinance. And for example, the current code, the nuisance ordinance, allows for an evaluation that a building is unfit for human habitation or current business use, but it's a very general subjective determination. The ordinance speaks to nothing more specific than that. With the preventive maintenance code, we can actually do a detailed evaluation or a citation, if you will, including things such as lack of open windows in each room, lack of bathroom, plumbing fixtures being in need of repair, faulty foundation work, leaky roof, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives us the specifics that we can use, which becomes a much more defensible case both to an owner as well as to the municipal court. So it really gives us the teeth that we need to make our cases. Secondly, I'd like to talk about the Statesboro Bullock County Land Bank. And we would propose that we reinstitute this land bank authority. And by reinstituting it, I mean that we would put it in the municipal code so that it would be institutionalized, if you would. as an entity that could be used in the future. And just to review for you the importance of this authority, it would help to promote affordable housing by allowing us to assemble tracts for public parks or other public purposes, and also can be used to promote commercial ventures, especially those that create new jobs. Now, the merits of a land bank authority allows the city to acquire property or receive donated property, including tax delinquent property, so we can start to assemble some parcels for redevelopment. The city can then dispose of those properties at less than fair market value, which the city is not allowed to do, but a land bank authority could, if it's used for affordable housing. And also, through the land bank authority, all owed taxes on the property can be extinguished. So, good enticements. The same for the housing authority. We would like to incorporate the housing authority into our city code, again, to institutionalize it. It would help us to determine when new members need to be appointed. It would give us the ability to ask for status reports in terms of what's happening at the housing authority. And a little overview of the housing authority. It has the ability to access federal funds for public-private partnerships for new development or rehabilitation. And this is a different funding source than what the city can access to the state or to HUD or to other funding entities. So it allows us to maximize opportunities for affordable housing. And the use of such funds can act as a game changer, and that new redevelopment can reinvigorate neighborhoods. And the city hopes to partner with the housing authority for potential rehab opportunities, as well as for new construction of affordable housing. And then lastly, we have, I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up with you, I apologize, is the service delivery strategy. The city hopes to apply in next April for Community Development Block Grant Fund. And accordingly, we have been told that the state funding agency now requires consistency with the city's service delivery strategy and with the block grant application. And they have to be one and the same. And when the service delivery strategy was compiled, it did not include affordable housing components that would be necessary for us to apply for the CDBG funds. So, we will require an amendment, and the amendment includes the following. The identification and inclusion of the land bank and housing authorities as new entities providing services to the city. Also, we would include the following new service: housing and urban redevelopment, the revitalization of neighborhoods and commercial areas, and the expansion of affordable housing. So putting that new service in there will make us consistent with the intent of the block grant funds that we will be applying for. The service delivery strategy has to be approved not only by City of Statesboro, but by the county and also the other 4 communities in the county. Everyone has to agree to the amendment. So as Kane mentioned, he started that process. So those are the action items that we would certainly encourage your approval for. We hope to bring those forward next month. And then also next month, we hope to have more action items for you to review for further action.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No. Captain, you are a godsend. I would say that. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of council, so the preventive maintenance code, that should be on your agenda for the first reading next month. However, we don't have work sessions, so we can put it on for the first reading, or we can bring it to you at the second meeting with the work session. So I'm trying not to get the cart before the horse, and I might be buying Kathy just a little bit more time to say that let us bring it to you at the second meeting. And as a part of the work session, and Mayor and members of the council, I'm gonna ask you, if you don't mind, if we could consider, we've got a lot of work to do. If we can consider maybe starting our meetings at 3:30, so that we have time to get through all the agenda items. And normally we haven't had a problem, but the last couple of meetings, we've had a little difficulty because we've had some really good items. And this one is one we need to be able to walk you through that code, because once we walk you through that code, then we've got to go out and we've got to make sure we educate the public about what you're considering adopting. And so my preference is to have preventive maintenance code on the second meeting for the first time, for the first reading. But we'd have a part of that on the work session. That would happen at 3:30.
You buying dinner?
I will.
Okay.
I'll be there.
We're in.
I got your credit card.
Read us and give us a t-shirt. That's all we need.
Thank you, Albert.
We appreciate that.
Can I ask you a couple quick questions?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yep, okay, so Statesboro Bullock Land Bank Authority, are we anticipating the county putting in money?
No, that's, the way I understand it is that because the Land Bank Authority has the ability to forgive taxes, including county taxes, that's why the county has to be a party to it. But it really is the Statesboro Land Bank Authority, but it's that tax forgiveness from the
Right.
county that allows them to be a part of the membership.
So do they just have a representative that sits on the Land Bank Authority board? Is that the deal?
Yeah, but I think there are a couple, I think that's the way it's structured, but that's their reason for being.
Well, no, I understand that, it just had the word Bullock in there, and I just was wondering if
Yes.
if we've talked to the county about doing this too, if they're gonna put in some money or not.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they ain't
Oh,
putting in money.
well, that would be nice,
take
yeah.
the money. Well, that's great. And then, okay, question number two, the maintenance code, are you rewriting the nuisance code, or are you creating an additional code?
It's a brand new code, it's,
But will it replace the nuisance?
there's a state model, it's the ICC code, the international code, and we will just be accepting that whole code in. The state of Georgia has already accepted it,
Right.
and we will, and other communities have accepted that preventive maintenance code, and we will just take that whole code and put it into our ordinance.
So it's kind of like the state standard building codes, this just happens to be the state standard maintenance code.
That is correct,
Okay.
you got it.
And I have one other question. Hang on 1 second. CDBG was related to CDBG. Oh, no, the housing authority. Doesn't the housing authority have to be a separate entity or no?
Yes, it is a separate entity, but we will.
Kind of like the
putting it into
DSDA or the visitor center. I mean, they're partner agencies, but it's not technically under the city, right?
That's not.
That's correct, but we will include it in our code, just so we know that it's there, yeah.
The mayor has appointing authority for the board, and housing authorities across the country are all pretty much set on the same model. But the housing authority does have at its disposal some things that they can do.
Right.
And
That cities can't do.
That cities
That's
can't
why I
do.
was asking if we were bringing it underneath, because I'm like, well, if you do that, then you're gonna restrict
No,
the
I
ability to
think
get funds and things
the
like
law
that.
won't let you do that.
That's correct.
But with,
Yeah, okay.
with the right executive director and all, they can be a really good partner.
Yeah.
For sure.
I do want to take the time to say this, Kathy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You can have a seat. What Kathy is doing, what Ms. Dorsey, will you stand up? Dorsey used to be an employee for the city of Statesboro with Georgia Southern, and now she's the executive director of the YMCA, but she is now the new chairperson for the Housing Authority for the city of Statesboro. And we are blessed to have them. They've really hit the ground running. This is a phenomenal, smart group of individuals. And it's very important, and I want to be extremely transparent with the city of Statesboro. The mayor of the city had not appointed anyone to this board since 1992. And so the message that we want to send to the city of Statesboro is that we're very purposeful about making sure that we bring a high quality of life for everybody across the board that calls our community home. Dorsey, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone that's on your team that's doing everything that they can. Kathy, I want to thank you. You know, for the lack of a better term, you've been a pit bull on this, and you really hit the ground running. So I want to say thank you. I know we have a training on the 19th. Is that still going on?
Yes, sir, I was gonna ask if you would just give me a minute.
That's what I was about to do. I was about to wait on up here. I just, for the 19th, I had to remind myself to make sure.
Well, I heard Councilman William ask that, and I'm like, hey, I have that information.
Yeah.
So, thank you again for appointing myself and everyone to the board. We are very happy to serve. Just wanted to give you guys some updates about what's going on. So we have established new and consistent meeting dates. So we'll be meeting the third Thursday of every month at the Housing Authority at 6 o'clock over in Cone Homes. And so those meetings will be held in the building, and then we'll also have a virtual option where people can log in via Zoom and view those meetings. We will have a board retreat, as you mentioned, so everybody obviously on the board is new. And so we have Mr. Rick Parker, who is the CEO of the Athens Housing Authority, will be facilitating that retreat for us this Saturday from 9 to 1. We'll actually be meeting here in the council chamber so that we can social distance. So all of our board members will be there. We'll be talking about just our roles and responsibilities as commissioners, as well as exploring creative financing options that are available to the Housing Authority so that we can work together to move that forward. And then the last thing, we're in the process of securing a executive search firm to help us in the process of filling the executive director position. The deadline for the RFP for the submission is October the 2nd, and we hope to have a firm selected by October the 15th.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So we are still at line item 13 of the regular agenda, which is other business for city council. At this time, I'd like to open that up to city council for any other business.
I got one thing just related to the housing authority, and I contacted Mr. Penny last week and asked him about CARES funding in particular. And we don't need to discuss that now, but one of the things I was thinking about with the CARES funding, you know, we don't just, it's nice to replace the stuff that we spent it on, but it's also a good idea to spend this money wisely so we can have those legs are as long as possible, the impact as long as possible. And I was thinking in a combination with the schools and COVID, and what is it, 53% of kids are going to school online. And I would imagine that number might have actually been a little bit higher if we had better internet connections throughout the city, particularly in our low-income neighborhoods. So I had a discussion with John Scott from Bullet Telephone, and I know Mr. Penny had already started those discussions, and I'm not going to put numbers on the table or anything along those lines, because I know that always gives Charles a bit of heartburn, so I won't do that. But I do want to say they are, you know, they can't do it for free, but if we can take some of that CARES funding, they're looking into the cost of bringing fiber to every one of the Statesboro Housing Authority locations. In addition to, or as well as Louetta Moore, because if you bring it to Louetta Moore, you might be able to reach some of Moore sites, even though Moore sites is a privately owned, it's not owned by the city. So that being said, I just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know that I had that discussion. They were amenable. They're putting some numbers together, but I think we could take some, especially if we get that second round of funding. I think we should take some of that and really figure out a way how to expand the internet opportunities for low income folks. I mean, you talk about workforce development. Well, if you can't get it on Indeed.com or the Georgia Southern career site, you ain't gonna get a job. And you know, for the kids too. I mean, we got parents like parking in Taco Bell parking lots and going to Burger King to get online. I mean, we need to figure out a way to get these folks. If you're going to get out of poverty, you need to have access to online education if that's the way we're going.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Thank you.
Just something to consider as we move forward.
Oh yeah, I like that idea.
Before we close out, I just want to ask another question concerning the CARES funding as it relates to families that were impacted negatively by COVID and us helping those families and small businesses out. Where are we with that?
I'm going to report to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, anything else from council?
We're gonna have
Sounds
a
good.
discussion about the alcohol exemption. I thought that was on the work session, we ran out of time.
The immediate one, you know what, we did not discuss that. And so that is, what she's referencing, correct me if I'm wrong, we signed an executive order on Thursday that allow for businesses to be able to, utilize the outdoor space so that they can serve customers. Me personally, I would love to see us be able to do that. That's basically getting the document pulled up and signed off on. But, wanted to get some feedback from council. I know that, you know, we had those discussions, so what is our thought process on that?
I think that's a great idea. I do. If we can
Okay.
expand that space, especially moving, you know, some of the individuals on the outside, because we don't need all of coronavirus in one spot. I'm just saying it like that, but if we can just kind of spread it out, I think that would be good for businesses, and it's also good for the health of the community.
Okay.
So I'm
You
on
love
board with
that.
that, yeah.
All right, anybody else?
I'm okay with it too, I just had that one, concern, where it
Yeah,
said that the age limit was 21.
Yeah,
So if I
give
went
us-
out-
Yeah, give us some.
If I went out to
insight.
eat with my daughter, who is 14, I couldn't eat outside, because
Yeah,
she's not
there's-
21?
We covered that in the executive order, that patrons under 21 are allowed with parents or legal guardians
Okay.
in those semi-public parking areas that would be exempted from the city open container exemption.
Okay,
Okay.
but just not if they were out by
Right.
themselves, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense, okay,
Okay.
I'm cool with it then.
Okay.
I just wanna eat outside and
Okay.
not have to leave my family home.
Anybody else wanna add to that? Yay, nay, what are our thoughts on this?
You know, the only other concern I have, Mayor, is that we make, you know, when you do these outside things, that you expand the occupancy. And so, you know, it's great to do a parking lot party, but if you pack it with 1,000 people, it's not exactly gonna be effective. So is there something in there that, you know, because right now there are restrictions at the state level as far as occupancy inside, so are there, I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I think you understand my question.
Yeah, it's specifically set out in the executive order that it has to adhere to the governor's orders regarding that. And what the governor's order is that any gathering of more than 50 people requires the ability to distance for 6 feet.
Okay.
So that was included in that interim order that was signed.
And then, but I don't know, if a restaurant parking lot eating area, is that still considered a gathering?
It would be.
Okay.
It would be, especially within the confine, because it's specifically set out that in the executive order that it is subject to the social distancing requirements for gatherings that are found in the governor's executive orders.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, any further discussion by council?
So where we are now, last Thursday you signed an executive order,
It was just-
but we
just for
didn't
the
really,
weekend.
but it was for the trial, just for the weekend, and the word hadn't gotten out very far.
Yeah.
So we're talking about doing another order, you're doing another order and looking for our endorsement to do another order to allow bars and restaurants to have an exemption to the open container, so they can spread their patrons out into patios and parking lots. But we've got some rules in there to keep it safe and to have borders clear.
Yeah.
One thing that we didn't have that was mentioned, the possibility of adding some proviso, especially if we're doing this on a trial basis, that if it gets to be a problem, that the local police have the authority to temporarily suspend the alcohol sales.
They already have that
They
authority.
have that. They are capped.
Yeah, it's in the existing ordinance. If there's any violation of state laws or anything like that, the chief, and there's a public safety hazard, the chief in consultation with the city manager has the ability to pull the license temporarily.
So the whole reason that we're looking at this is to allow businesses to continue, hopefully to make money, but to do it more safely.
Yeah.
Not to bring more people in, but to have the same people or a few more and spread them out further.
Yeah. And this is not a unique situation. I was on the phone today with Athens Mayor. They're utilizing some outdoor things. Savannah's doing the same thing. So this is something that, you know, that's happening across the board in other cities as well. So we're just kind of coming in line with them.
Right, so are we looking at doing it on a 30-day trial and look back and see what the local police
That's-
tells us about how it goes?
That's at the discretion of council. If they want to do 30 days, 60 days, whatever, you know, whatever council would like to do. And then we can come back and revisit it, get a report from chief.
I would say 60 days, just because these restaurants are going to do this outside stuff, I'm sure they have to purchase some things, so as a business owner, I wouldn't wanna purchase something and then 30 days later,
Yeah.
it's not happening. So just to give them enough time to see, and to get all the kinks worked out, cause it's not gonna be
Yeah.
perfect the first time.
Yeah, especially if we have that proviso, if there is anybody that's
Yeah.
abusing it and
We
having
can
too
take
many
it.
in it and
Yeah.
having problems, that the police can shut them down immediately, or
Yeah.
stop the sale of alcohol immediately. Okay, thank you.
All right. Have that for after this. All right.
You'll be busy.
Oh, yeah. That's all right. We stay busy.
So where we are now is you've asked Kane to go ahead and,
Yeah, I'll
all
sign it right
that
after the
up, you just
meeting.
sign it as part of an emergency order.
Yeah, I'll sign it right after the
Effective
meeting.
immediately for 60 days.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
I wanna thank you for giving us that consideration to get our opinions and
Get
all
your
of that.
opinion, get your
Yeah.
opinion across.
Yeah,
I
I
had
appreciate that.
I had a joke just then, but I'm not gonna say it. With that being said, any other, and thank you, Sheriff, for bringing that in. Any other business from council?
Can we get a report, I mean, I saw it, but I want to say it in public about the expanded testing that the city county, is that part of your report too? All right, thank you.
Good. All right, thank you. All right, so we'll move down to agenda item 14, which is city manager's comments.
Mayor, members of the council, a few things just to report to you. I had on my list to talk about CARES Act funding, and Mayor Pro Tem Chambers asked a question. So we finished the first round, and we were able to draw down all of the funding. And so I want to thank Cindy West for her leadership and for my team for department heads, because I'm gonna be honest, as city manager, y'all haven't seen me panic much, but I was panicking about how we were gonna be able to satisfy and not lose any money, and I don't like losing money. And so the team, we met in this room and we got it all figured out, so. But the next issue, my plan was to bring the agreements with the entities that would administer the next phase of the project. However, I also told you I would not bring that unless I knew the next round of money was moving forward. We have not gotten an indication yet from the state that the next $2 million is available to us. My hope is that we will have that indication this week, so that by the first meeting in October, we will be able to bring forward the family, the utility assistance, the small business assistance, and the utilities.
Mortgage.
Rental and mortgage assistance. We want to bring all those things forward, and even the rapid testing. But at this point, Dr. Gerges hasn't even gotten his equipment. So all of that, I didn't want to bring forward without knowing I had money to be able to pay for. So that's the plan, is to hopefully have it before you on October 6th. I'll let y'all know once the state tells us. The mayor will know probably before I know, because that agreement, I don't think that agreement was for $5.7 million. I think that agreement was for 1.7.
Yeah.
So we're looking for another agreement. I will tell you that some of the information that we got from Jim, from Larry Hanson's group, for folks that were not able to comply and weren't able to spend all the money, the email came out yesterday and said, send the money back.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're not sending any money back, and it might work to our advantage, because those that couldn't spend it, they might actually divvy it up and give us more.
Yeah.
But at this point, they have not given us any indication when we can come in for the next round of funding. Okay? But we're on it. We're watching every day.
As soon as I get the email,
Yeah.
don't worry. I'll send that to you.
Okay? Then today, and we'll give the mayor kudos. Today we initiated the additional testing at Louetta Moore, and I say that to the mayor because the mayor reached out to East Georgia Health Center and asked them if they could do that testing, and we went to work after that, and so I want to appreciate them for that leadership. So today, they tested 70 people. So the way that works is, you can come up in your car and you stay in your car and you get tested, but they're also doing walk-ups. And so they tested 70, so again, they will be there on Thursday. And so the days that they're testing is not going on at the health department. But I say that, so we tested 70. Last Thursday, they tested 30, okay? Just as a soft opening. So the more people that know about it, if they have insurance, they don't have to pay a deductible. If they don't have insurance, they don't have to pay anything. So East Georgia Health Center is there to help. I will say that at the health department, on a call today, I found out last week they tested 900 people. The week before, they tested 1,200. So the numbers hopefully are coming down, okay? But we are still a long ways from getting to 5%. Right now, we're still sitting at about 21% and we need to get that down. So we're working in that direction. And so then the last thing I just wanted to mention, I sent out an email to you, and we've already announced in the press release the renaming of Lester Road to Coach Lee Hill Boulevard for October 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning in the parking lot at Statesboro High School. And so that is open to the public, and we look forward, we're working with this family to finalize the program and everything, and look forward to everybody save the day.
Thank you, Mr. Penny.
Mr. Mayor, I've got one more question for Mr. Penny, please. It's my understanding that the testing that the city and county are doing over at Littlemore, it's not the rapid, immediate response, but we are getting faster test results, like 2 to 3 days.
I'm not sure they want me to tell you to say that, but they're doing the PCR, and the PCR test is the one that the state keeps records of. And so that's what they're doing. And what we heard from Dr. Parks is that they've seen a decrease in the time, in the turnaround time on reports. And it's been a lot shorter than 5 to 7 days that some people have been used to.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move down to our public comments. We have Ms. Marsha Twiggs. Ms. Twiggs, if you will.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To the mayor and members of the Statesboro City Council, I'm here to address a concern that I've had for the last 20 years. Okay, many of you may not be aware of it, and I'd like to pass out some pictures to show why I am concerned. And it's about a ditch located on the corner of, located on Stockyard Road, the corner of William Road and Lester Road. In 2018, that ditch was widened to about 7 feet wide and 2 to 3 inches deep. Okay, I have been a resident of that address for the last, well, since 1980. The ditch was not as deep then, and because my mother was had a handicap, there was not a great concern because accommodation was made for her in retrieving the mail and the trash can or whatever. So now that she has passed and I inherit that area, I am greatly concerned because now I have to step into the road to get the mail. I spoke with the mayor and I thank him for coming out, looking at the area last week, and also spoke to Mr. Penny as well as Councilman Shavers. The volume of traffic on that road has increased and will be increasing. As you know, at the corner of Miller and Stockyard Road, they're building a subdivision or whatever complex there. So the traffic is increasing. The people in the community cannot walk, and we do walk our community. They cannot walk because, as you can see by the stop sign, that area has sloped so much until you have to keep your balance trying to walk. So therefore, we have to walk in the road. So I'm asking the council to grant us either a covered ditch with dirt or a covered ditch with a paved sidewalk, so we can safely walk that street as well. So that's my concern, and like I said, I have been asking for this quite some time, and it has not happened. So I will continue to come, if it does not happen, to ask that you help us in our community to be safe, and so that we can walk our community and not have to step out into the road. I don't know, I've had another picture, so when I actually go to get my mail, I have to actually step in the road, get my mail, and look both ways to make sure there's no cars coming. So please help me be safe by providing us either with a covered ditch. And I do want to say the people in the community, they do not walk in my road on my side of the yard, which I don't mind, but they shouldn't have to. They should be able to walk within that area and be safe, not necessarily walk in my yard, so that they can go throughout their community. Okay.
Anything from council?
Any questions?
I was just gonna ask Jason, I know we've done surveys of the ditches and things like that. Do you know where this might be as in the hierarchy of improving our ditches, and or if it's even on the list? And I realize I'm putting you on the spot, so I apologize for that.
No, when you say improve the ditch, what do you, can you?
I mean, in our stormwater, we have a list of improvements. Remember, we did the inventory of all the assets and things like that. Where does this one fit in that inventory? Is it a red? Is it a yellow? Do you even know? Oh, okay.
I'm not sure about that part.
But I know this area's been surveyed as part of that, so.
Yeah.
Right, and I would say that, probably, with the approval of the stormwater utility, the creation of the stormwater utility, that's probably when we came out and cleaned the ditch back out so we could expose the pipe for proper drainage. And that's probably what precipitated this concern to some extent, which we've heard across town from a variety of residents.
Sure.
At that point, trying to make sure that we're able, and we try to keep it as minimal as possible, but sometimes you just have constraints based on the size of the pipe, the depth of the pipe. It's just a balancing act.
May I say something? There has been a study, according to the city of engineer, and Jason, is it
Yes.
Jason?
Yes, ma'am.
John Washington.
Marco?
No, it wasn't you, I didn't talk to you, but it was,
Brian?
Marcus?
was it this Hispanic guy?
Mhm.
Marco.
He came, it was when Councilman, well, going farther back than that, 2007, Councilman Lewis came out and he looked at it, and him along with the engineer, and they said they was gonna do a study, which they did, and I didn't hear anything about that. Councilman Sammy Jones, he came along with one of the engineers when he was in office, and they did another study, and I received a letter saying that it was not the city's responsibility to take care of this, that it was the homeowner's responsibility. So that would have been in 2017 when I received that information from whoever was in charge. Okay, so it is a concern. It's a safety concern. And not only is it a safety concern, we're located between a nursing home, G.P. Bryant, a daycare, can't think of the name of the daycare. So, you know, we like to enjoy our community as well. And I'm not an engineer, but as I look at that ditch every day, I believe some pipes can be laid, some dirt can be pulled over it for the safety of me and others in that community. I don't know how much it will cost, because I don't know those figures, but I don't think it will cost, I believe it will not cost a whole lot to rectify that problem.
Go ahead, Mr.
Can the problem be rectified?
Anything to be rectified.
Okay.
Once you got enough money?
Yeah, you got the money, but if somebody will figure it out.
Mayor, members of the council, and Ms. Twiggs, I see her problem and certainly understand that. And we just recently, in the last year or so, and I think Ms. Twigg, did we share a copy of that study with you?
You did, you did, I meant to bring it up.
And we just studied that, and it's all a matter of, and this is important, Ms. Twigg, so we don't.
And the community, members of the community.
And we're not gonna downplay that. It's all a matter of being able to prioritize the project and being able to get it funded. And at this point, we don't know what the number would be, but, we would need to, so without being able to tell you, that study did not say how much the project would cost. And so I would ask John and them to tell us how much it would cost. Because to fill in a ditch would be one thing. Because right now, you have water. And when it rains, our community is just a flat community anyway. And so right now, that ditch is carrying water that comes off the road.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have that ditch, water coming off the road goes, the house sits a little bit lower than the road. Without the ditch, water sheeting off the road might create another problem. And it's one thing just to fill a ditch, but then in order to keep that water from sheeting off the road, then you gotta do curb and gutter. Otherwise, it just shoots right across. So there are a number of costs that might be incurred. And so I would like to ask our staff to give me a number. And then it's a matter of being able to either, and we've used CDBG for a lot of projects like this. Now, we're sort of shifting our priorities away from using a lot of CDBG for drainage projects to more for housing. But again, this is an important issue to one of our citizens, and we can continue to look at that. And then we can see what other funding, if some of the numbers are good, we might have some money from some of our current funding, but right now, all of our funding is pretty much committed for drainage projects. When we shared with you the stormwater program a couple of months ago, our number one project was Martin Luther King Drive. And we need close to $500,000 for that project. And so I would just say, we'll be glad to report back to council, and we'll report to Mr. Twiggs as well, what we believe the cost would be. And then it's a matter of trying to figure out where we can find the money. If the will is there to do it, then we'd have to find the money. But we're not gonna do a project that's not right. We're not gonna do that, because the last thing we're gonna do is create a problem and say, Mr. Penny came out here, filled up my ditch, and now the water's shooting into my house. We're not gonna do that either. So if we're gonna do it, we have to do it the right way. So if council will allow us to do that, we'll be able to tell you what the number would be.
All right, thank you. All right. Ms. Twigg?
So should I expect an answer within the next, 3 or 4 months?
Give me
Another
30 days,
year or
Ms.
what?
Twigg, give me 30 days. Okay?
And Ms. Twigg, come on back.
I will be back.
I know, I love Ms. Twigg.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Wicks.
Yeah. All right, with that being said, we move down to agenda item 16, which is consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, real estate, and or potential litigation in accordance with OCGA 50-14-3B. Is there a need for council to go into executive session? No. All right, seeing that there is none, we'll move down to.
Employees for behavior.
We'll move down to agenda item 17, which is consideration of a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good night.
All right, thank you.